Katrina. So today is October 2nd. I'm just continuing our lesson since we had technical trouble. So I'm just continuing what I was going to talk about in your lesson. I'm continuing it on here. So we're using up all your valuable lesson time. So I can do this anytime. So this is really cool. This is very easy for me to do. So what we were talking about was powerhouse songs, but specifically positioning. Okay, so like different ways that we can open our mouths and make vowel sounds that may be, frankly, kind of awkward for us, uncomfortable for us if we're not used to it. I mean, I know with my classical training, I had to really get used to it, because in classical training we would never, I don't want to say never, but rarely ever do that. Okay, all right. It's just sort of unnecessary and makes a vowel that we wouldn't necessarily want in that kind of music. But in contemporary music, there's a certain sound and a certain vowel sound that we can get if we change and experiment with some of the shapes of our mouths, specifically our lips, but also imagining once again that our upper teeth, but like the sides of our upper teeth are spread apart like wings. So if we can imagine that, especially the back ones, this can make it for a great, very free vowel ultimately. And this is really what I was demonstrating. Yes, I'm doing this, but what's even more important is that I'm imagining and visualizing that these teeth are coming up like flaps. Ah, rather than ah, ah, ah. It's definitely brighter. You got to be careful because sometimes it can become unpleasant. I don't think yours will. I think you're sensitive enough to know when it would become too bright, too nasal. But you can play around with that nasality too. Play around with it. Sing with that kind of nasality. I'm not kidding, Katrina. That means, right? It doesn't mean you're going to do it. It doesn't mean you're going to sing with like that. It means that I want you to be able to do it enough. We're going to do more in lessons, but start playing around with it. You can add a little bit of that nasality to all of your stuff, especially higher sort of power notes. One of the things that it can do is help replace your voice into the front. And specifically here, again, you can't go too far, but it's like a recipe. You can add a little bit of, go really far and then pull back. See what I mean? So you can make it reasonable. That kind of nasality goes along with that hair. So, but just be cognizant of that. Be sensitive to that. You already are. Now, what I was going to ask about, what I wanted to do was, and it's just something to think about this week. I would love for you to sing either a big Kelly Clarkson song or a big Pink song. Kelly Clarkson would be great. Perhaps something like Because of You, or big. A Moment Like This. That one's really kind of old, but that's a powerhouse one. So let me actually write it here in the chat. Kelly Clarkson's Because of You. But if you don't know that, that's fine. Kelly Clarkson's. These are all options for you. A moment like this. Maybe Pink's. It's a really fun. Raise Your Glass. That one's, I know, really poppy, but that might be fun too. Pink has a lot of those really, really big ones. But I would love for you to do so. Your homework this week is to prepare either a Kelly Clarkson or Pink song. Both of those ladies, even when they're, Kelly Clarkson especially, and Pink has this too, they have a very good sense of dynamics, right? So even, yes, they can do big sort of rock and roll powerhouse stuff, but they have tremendous dynamics, and they can pull back and do soft stuff when they like to. So that's why I like that. Both either of those ladies, that's who I'm kind of thinking of. But those are just suggestions. But something either Kelly Clarkson or Pink. Pink has a lot of really soft stuff too. But I would love for you to do just like a really, really, really big one. Kelly Clarkson, again, she also has pieces of you and stuff like that, piece by piece. But something big, something kind of monumental, like we've been talking about, powerhouse stuff. Pink's a little lower for your purposes. I know you've been looking to sort of strengthen your lower. Pink is typically a lower voice. Kelly can belt up pretty darn high. So those are kind of good ones to kind of think of. But ultimately, a powerhouse song for next week. This week too, again, your homework is also to experiment with nasality, and also to experiment with, again, different shapes of your mouth. Like weird stuff like that. Again, unnecessary. You don't need to do that really at all. But it gets your face loose, and also you're learning what your voice can do. That's one of my jobs. So one of my jobs is to get you to be able to know your voice in all of its capacity, and to be able to know, oh, I can do that if I want to. I can do that if I want to. I can use that tool, and not just be limited to, well, this is just how I sing. No, you can do lots and lots of stuff. And yes, ultimately, I want you to pick a signature style, but now is the time at your age to experiment, use different stuff, I don't want you to become somebody else. I don't want you to use an accent. I don't want you to go crazy and start using like different pronunciations of words, but very open, improvising your vowel shapes. Think of it that way, right? So sing your regular songs, sing regular stuff, sing your powerhouse stuff, sing your, the covers that you've recorded and stuff. Go through them and sing them a little differently. Sing them with a bigger mouth, smaller mouth, and especially that sensation. Okay, and I will see you next week. Great job this week. I'll see you next time.